Hey guys, Bowserkins here for another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the updated PTR build, the 41827 build for Blood Decay. We're going to be talking about the tier set, the double legendary, all that exciting stuff. There was also some buffs to necrolord DK in the form of a abomination limb damage increase. I do want to touch on a couple of things right off the bat though. Number one, there is this new item on the PTR that will actually exist in the live game as well. This one's called Girdle of Unity, but the different belts are called different things. Like there's the cinch, the sash, but all of them of Unity, right? And how this item is going to function is it's going to change the legendary effect based on the covenant you have. So if you were planning on having to build 4 different legendary items for each covenant, it's not going to be the case if you want to utilize this belt. So good news there. Um, Secondarily, as you can see from this text, they have buffed the Abomination Limb Lego for Necrolord DK before it would do everything it's saying in the first half of this text, but it would only increase the damage that the enemies take by 10%. That's been increased to 20% now. And that's obviously a really nice damage increase, something that Necrolord had needed. And I think that Necrolord may be the burst damage go-to option for Blood DK. It's going to certainly compete with Venthyr. Venthyr, with their Covenant Legendary, I'll pull it up here in a sec here. Their Covenant Legendary gives you a burst of damage at the end of the Swarming Miss based on how much runic power you spent. It's not a ton of damage, but you get this ability every minute, right? So does it compete with Abomination Limb? Not really sure. Haven't tested it out. That's certainly not what this video is about. I may do something like that in the future, but with how many changes they're doing on the PTR and buffs and nerfs and stuff like that, um, just like other videos, it's going to be outdated in a couple weeks, I bet. So I'm not too invested in trying to figure out which one's better right now in the PTR. What this video is mainly going to be about is the tier set, because right now the way this tier set is functioning is much different from the last time I tested it on the PTR. Before, the way that it would function would be every instance of heart strike damage would give you 1% strength, and the duration would be increased by 0.5 seconds. Dancing weapon at that point became something that you could endlessly keep up. The strength bonus would get up to insane levels, 150, 180%, and it was completely broken. There's no way it was going to make it to live. The way that it's functioning now on the PTR, however, is that it seems to only grant you the strength and dancing weapon duration when the instance of Heart Strike is cast rather than the damage. And why that makes a difference is when you press Heart Strike, it spends a rune and you get the benefit of it, right? You get the 1% strength, you get the 0.5% dancing weapon duration. But you no longer get that additional strength and additional duration based on the number of enemies you hit. So whether it's single target or 10 targets, you're still only going to get zero point 0.5 seconds and 1% strength per heart strike hit. Now you may be looking at that at face value and saying, "Oh my god, that's awful." However, when you introduce more targets, you bring into play the 4-piece, where parrying your attack causes your weapon to lash out, heart striking your attacker. From what I can tell, you are still getting strength and um, duration based on that heart strike as well. Okay, and that heart strike will hit multiple targets, but you'll only get the 0.5% duration and 1% strength from those, like the initial single hit of the heart strike, right? However, when I tested it, the numbers are not adding up. I don't know exactly how it's being calculated, but what I do suspect is that there's some kind of funky internal cooldown. And apologies for the numbers that are going to pop up on your screen here, guys. They implemented a Shadowlands scaling aura, which is knocking my item level down to 157 in this heroic dungeon. I'd like to test this in like a plus 15, but that video would last forever, right? Especially in the PTR, plus 15s could be an absolute S show, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. So we're just going to look at this, the scaling aura. Don't pay attention to the damage. That's all going to be way lower than it should. I'm just looking right here at the functionality of how this tier set is going about its business. So we're just going to start our Heartstrike window here. And you can see in the auras in the top right corner, I've got my dancing weapon, I've got my stacks of strength, and they are very, very mild right now. There's nothing crazy going on with the duration of dancing weapon or the strength increase. Right, I've got 11% increased strength right now. My duration of my dancing weapon just fell off just now. Right, so we're gonna kill this pack the rest of the way, and then I'll show you guys how much time we actually got from our dancing weapon and why that's really interesting. I mean, you guys could see I was spamming the heck out of my heart strikes there. Um, it wasn't a situation where I wasn't utilizing my heart strikes all that well. That was a very average and um, consistent use of heart strike. It's very clear that I'm not getting a full second on my heart strike every single time I heart strike on 2 targets, because I was able to do that before, and my dancing weapon duration was going up to like 40% or 40 seconds, right? So we'll go to buff up time here, scroll over this. So my dancing weapon lasted 27 seconds there on 2 targets. Now, I'm sitting in that situation at 50+% pari, so I'm parrying more than half their attacks. The actual duration of a dancing weapon in that situation previously, when the set was broken, would have lasted indefinitely because I would have been getting the paris. Those would have been hitting 2 targets. The chaining from all of the paris and heart strikes, the coming out, would have made my dancing weapon last for the entirety of that fight. But now it's actually capped. Now I will say 27 seconds on 2 targets for dancing weapon is really good. Right now the base duration of it with the conduit is 11 seconds. So we're more than doubling the time on 2 targets, and that'll go up the further you go into packs with physical attacks. Now, the downside of how this functions is in AOE packs, we were kind of expecting to get like basically 2.5 seconds every global from physical heart strikes, in addition to the pari heart strikes. But that wasn't sustainable. But the benefit of that is if you pull a pack that does mostly spell cast, like this pack here on the left, you've got Collect Sins, you've got Double Obliterator, right? So you've got 3 casters there. Then you would pull maybe these 2 in here, which is an Obliterator and a Dark Blade. Really, the only adds there in that situation that are consistently meleeing you are the Shard of Halkias and the 1 Dark Blade. You're not going to get a lot of parias from this pack over here, guys. But that doesn't seem to matter anymore because it's only through the instance of Heartstrike casts, not the damage, not the actual individual hits of Heartstrike. And the reason that that is good and bad for us is because of here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this in. Do that, do this, and we're going to go ahead and start doing our heart strikes. Keep an eye on that ore on the top right, guys. Dancing weapon has 9 seconds there. We got 2 seconds straight right on that one, and that's because we probably paried and hit him with the heart strike. As you guys can see, I'm not going above 10 seconds on this, right? Like the duration is, it's not insane, but he is meleeing me quite a bit here, right? And there's no weird delay. Look what we hit on a single target, right? We have an entire one less target hitting us and one less target being hit. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here because the dancing weapon is gone now. So we have an entire 1 target less, which before our dancing weapon would go from something that you could stack infinitely on 2 targets to something that you would actually only get about 26 to 30 seconds off of, right? Now our buff up time on dancing weapon was 27 seconds again, right? Which is impossible because this guy is meleeing us all the time. We're heart striking, and it's only hitting 1 target as opposed to 2. Plus, our pari heart strikes are hitting 2 targets technically on 2 targets. So it can't possibly be the damage instance that's proccing our tier set anymore. It has to be, just based on this data, it must be the actual cast of dancing weapon. So let's look at this. We have 27 seconds of dancing weapon. Now we're going to go over to damage done. And we're going to break this down These are our heart strikes. This is the number of casts we have. So we have 27 seconds of um, Dancing Weapon, and 11 of that is for free, right? We're guaranteed 11 of that. Now we hit Heart Strike 23 times, which in a single target situation should be um, 11 and a half extra seconds of Dancing Weapon, right? So that checks out. That looks good. When you look at the buff up time, 11 and a half seconds plus 11 should be 22. And, that's not too far off from 27, right? It's certainly not something that would concern me in terms of uh, the actual functionality of the tier set. The problem is when you get into the previous pool, which was 2 targets, and oh, I missed a big time there. And you look at buff up time here, the Dancing Weapon again 27 seconds, and you look at damage done, and the number of targets hit by my Dancing Weapon was 74, right? So if you have 74 hits compared to what was it again? I already forgot the number. 27 or 74 compared to 23, there should be a massive variance in the duration of Dancing Weapon if you're actually getting that increased duration based on the number of hits you get with your Heart Strike. That's just simply not the case anymore. It's just simply not the case anymore. You're not getting that extra duration from the hits. So I don't know exactly how it's functioning, but it's definitely not functioning the way it was before. Very interesting to think about how this is going to impact us. One thing for sure, though, based on whether it's working for hits or whether it's working for casts, this is a far less painful thing in single target now. You're going to be able to, if you're fighting a single target raid boss, you're still going to get a 30-second Dancing Weapon, which is really cool. In Mythic Plus, it's even better because you're going to be running the Crimson Rune Weapon legendary, and that reduces the cooldown of Dancing Weapon below a minute, and then you're going to be getting 30-second Dancing Weapons, right? So, I mean, you could be potentially looking at 50% uptime on 60, 70% pari. But one thing's for sure, the strength aspect of the legendary or the tier set, sorry, is going to be dramatically reduced. Before, I speculated that if the cap was at 20% strength increase for the tier set, that it would be a huge win. I don't think we're going to get that to 20% very often. Maybe during Lust phase, we'll be able to do that consistently. Um, but it's not going to be a common occurrence in a typical um, a typical fight in Mythic Plus with trash, especially if you have to implement any kind of kiting whatsoever. You're not going to heart strike at all, and therefore this bonus is going to fall off very quickly. But still, really cool, guys. I do think this is balanced. Looking at all the other tier sets, I would say Blood DK damage might still suffer a little bit from this, but we're still going to have to see. Obviously, there's no way for me to possibly test Blood DK damage without going into a dungeon because a lot of it is based off of being hit. We've got so much of our power based on um, actually parring things or taking damage so that our bone shield charges are consumed. So there's no way to test this on a target dummy. But the good news is it's looking pretty decent in Mythic Plus, but I would still be weary of Blood DK 9.2 after these changes, specifically due to the fact that Bear Druid is doing a ton of damage with their 4-piece, that Architect's Aligner, and Prop Paladin is doing a ton of damage as well as Brewmaster. Although all three of those specs are doing tons of damage. So whether Blood DK can compete with those, I'm still not sure yet. But this has been Bowserkins checking out the Blood DK on the 9.2 PTR. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Like and subscribe as always if you enjoyed the video. I appreciate all the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.